So I built this device to measure the water level in our underground cistern. And as the cistern doesn't have a manhole or any latch or opening to the surface, I can't install a sensor inside the cistern. What I came up with is this device to measure the pressure on the suction line of the pump that is located in our cellar. And by knowing the pressure or the vacuum on the suction line, I can calculate the remaining water level inside the cistern. Because when the pressure is lower, the suction is higher, therefore the water level has to be lower, because the lower the water level is, the more suction is on the pump side, right? Makes sense. Again, so the lower the water level, the more suction is on the pump side, and if I have more water in the cistern, the suction is less, so I can calculate basically the water level or the remaining water level inside the cistern by measuring the pressure on the input side of the pump while the pump is not running. So, right? And here I'm testing the electronics assembly, which is basically just an Arduino Pro Mini attached to a small LED 7-segment display attached to this vacuum sensor. And the sensor goes from -1 atmosphere to 1 atmosphere, so I basically can measure the water column up to 10 meters low into the ground. The vacuum sensor actually only puts out a voltage between 0.5 volts and 4.5 volts, and that is linear to the pressure measured. Here I'm trying to drill the hole for the test button into the acrylic window, which is kind of sketchy because acrylic tends to bind up in the drill bit. So this is why I'm using water with dish soap. I don't like this stuff. But anyway, the button fits in pretty well, and so I only have to solder the wires to it and then close the tester battery, and it works, cool. And the final thing is to put the port for the vacuum line into the box. This adapter is actually CNC machine from polyethylene on my DIY CNC machine, and it is to connect the standard pneumatic fittings to the silicon tubing and from there to the vacuum sensor. After everything was assembled, I installed the box next to our water pump in our cellar. And this pump is like, I don't know, 60 or 70 years old and pumps the water from the underground cistern into the storage vessel on the right side. Because I don't have the proper stuff to install the PCB inside this box with the ESO mount, I just use this heating tube installation to just put it into place, and then use some tape to stick the display directly to the front glass of the box. So works, and this tape is actually pretty strong and will hold it for pretty long. As it is battery powered, it doesn't need the power connection, so it just runs on the 9-volt battery, and I think it will last actually pretty long because I'm not probing every day, and yeah. And here I tested, works, looks pretty good, I guess. The final step to do is to connect the vacuum line, which is just a normal pneumatic tubing, and I just connected with zip ties to the tube and then put it into one of these pneumatic fittings at the main shut-off valve. You can actually just screw them in because they have the same threads as the blind caps on the main valve. After everything is connected, I test it, open the valve, and the pressure immediately drops, so the system is more or less working. And now the only thing I have to do is to switch on the pump, so I have to get rid of some water, so this is what I'm doing now. And after I took enough water out of the pressure vessel, the pressure dropped enough, so the pump automatically switched on. And the pressure on the suction side of the pump is actually pretty low, but this is normal because the pump is currently sucking water out of the cistern. But when the pump switches off, the water pressure should actually rise a bit. So the reading is only accurate when the pump is off. and therefore measuring the water table in the cistern is only possible when the pump is not on. And after the pump has been running for a while, it switches off automatically, and then the pressure on the input side of the pump is oscillating a bit. Currently this is not really calibrated, so this is only an arbitrary number from the analog pin of the Arduino. This has to be calibrated to centimeters or liter or something, but this has to happen later. And if you like this kind of stuff, feel free to leave a like or a comment or even a subscription. Thank you! And if you're into old pumps and stuff, check out this 3 kilowatt, 3-phase, 50 cubic meters per hour pump I got. This is from an old heating system or something with like 10 centimeter thick connectors to it. And I repaired it by just replacing one bearing in the motor.